Hi everybody. We'll just give it 2 minutes as people are jumping on. Might be a couple more just coming into the waiting room. I appreciate it is the last day before Good Friday, so those of you that are making it is you're the committed bunch, so well done. Just one or two more. If you do have the capability to put screens on, no obligation to, of course, but it's always nice to kind of get a flavour of who we're chatting to and what's what. So yeah, if you know your way around Zoom, that would be wonderful. I'm just going to keep an eye on the waiting room, but in wanting to start on time, we'll try and crack on. So welcome everybody. Thanks for giving up your time tonight, as I just said. Not sure how long we're going to go tonight. Hopefully reasonably short and sweet, but really an opportunity for people across North Wales, really, just to chance for us to share a little bit of info, I think, for want of a better word, around what the Wales National Counties North setup is about. We've not hosted something like this before, and with the season almost on us, it seems reasonably timely heading into our third season that we wanted to take the chance to explain and share what we're about, but also probably more importantly for anybody on this call is whether I can see current players on here that play in North Wales. I can see followers and people invested in club cricket. So looks like a reasonably eclectic mix tonight, but it's very much a forum and an opportunity for people to find out more about it, ask us some questions, challenge anything that you want to challenge in the right way. I have got a couple of slides which I try not to bore you with, but hopefully after that we'll kind of open it up and leave that open for people to come at us, really. So I'll keep an eye on the chat box as well as we go. If you're off screen or for whatever reason you want to pop a question into the chat box as I'm rambling on, then please do so, and we'll get to those. But for those of you that won't have come across me before, hopefully there's plenty on here that have. My name's Matt Dando-Thompson. I lead the talent pathway across Cricket Wales. And by means of introduction, we've got members of the National Counties North Committee on here tonight. So I'll start, not in particular order, but you'll see Russ Penrhyn Jones staring at his screen, trying to work out if the technology is working or not. So Russ is hopefully not a stranger to anybody across North Wales, and I'll explain a little bit around Russ's role and how this has all come about shortly. We have got John Bell, who's top centre of my screen. I don't know where he is on other people's, but John sits on the National Counties North Committee, advisory role, but also from a safeguarding capacity as well, and was instrumental in helping us get this off the ground as well. More recently, we've been delighted to welcome Gwenno Williams, who's top left of my screen, who's joined on board over the winter, I think, wasn't it, Gwenno? As we were getting winter plans underway in kind of a secretarial role, and Gareth Ryan has sent some apologies today, and many of you will know Gareth with his associations with St Asaph and the North Wales Cricket League as well. So between kind of the 4 or 5 of us, and Ian Martin as well from a Cricket Wales standpoint, that's kind of the key personnel, if you like. But let me kind of crack on, and I'll share a couple of slides with you if I can, and just by means of thumbs up. Am I right to just I can see Thelma on the call. Thelma, do you want to just pop a thumbs up so you can see? Can you see a PowerPoint presentation? Yeah, lovely. So yeah, we thought, as I say, we just get through a couple of slides just to kind of set the scene, really, for people, and share a little bit around the origins of the team and where this has come from. If my slides want to work. So look, ultimately, and Russ, you feel free to kind of jump in here at any point, because you will know the context better than anybody, really. Look, this came about 2 seasons ago. Russ actually pioneered a team, I think 3 seasons ago, as kind of a bit of a pilot to bring the best players in North Wales together. in some form of representative team. And that was towards the latter end of it, might have been 2021. And over that course of that winter, Russ and I got to know each other and had some communications. And very quickly, Russ kind of sold a vision, rightly so, that Cricket Wales, and I've got no problem saying that as Cricket Wales with the logo on, needing to do arguably a much better job of capturing and keeping tabs on the talent up in the north than probably what we have done previously and historically. I'm just going to put someone on mute there. Sorry, there's a bit of static in the background. And that's looking at it more from a senior cricket point of view, less so from a junior. But Cricket Wales took over the national county senior team probably about 4 or 5 years ago, just this side of the pandemic. And I think the track record of, well, I don't think, because the stats would say it, the track record of North Walians playing representative cricket at the highest level, certainly for Wales, hasn't been fantastic in the last kind of decade and beyond. I think we had about two players between 2010 and 2016 that played. And really, look, we needed to do a better job of getting eyes and ears and benchmarking players better in the north compared to what we see down in South Wales. So that was kind of the origins and the makings of this team. And without reading verbatim what you'll see on the slide in front of you, we want the main aim we wanted for this North Wales representative team was for it to become the pinnacle of recreational cricket in North Wales, and it to be a focal point for players to aspire to play in, with the view that it can be the stepping stone to then provide better opportunities for them coming into the senior Wales side. So that, in a nutshell, is what we wanted to do. And that obviously now is looked after by ourselves as Cricket Wales, closely looked after by Russ, with us as in turn. So yeah, the box at the bottom, say, provide players the opportunity to support Wales. Look, I think long term, we all want there to be an aspiration that we would like there to be players coming from North Wales that go higher. David Lloyd is the easy example to look at. Roman Walker is another one, but those are the types of players, where we want to see another Roman Walker or another David Lloyd in hopefully in the not too distant future. I won't spare Russ's blushes with his own lads' development through into Glamorgan, but there's another example as well. So that does play a big role, and we shouldn't be limiting ourselves to wanting players to just play for the Wales senior team. We would love players to kick on and develop higher, and the national county setup does generally play a really important part in that process. So that's a big part of it. Look, financing this and making this a sustainable program is probably my biggest headache and my biggest motivation and challenge moving forwards. I'll hopefully explain in a slide or two kind of the journey that we've been on in 2 years, which we've managed to achieve an incredible amount in a very short space of time. And we've only been able to do that with the help of some very supportive people behind the scenes from a finance point of view. But that's kind of partly Russ and I's job is to manage that and make sure that we're doing our very best to fund this with a little bit of external help and through ourselves as Cricket Wales. And I suppose whether or not we're trying to get the next David Lloyd or the next Roman Walker, there's also a part of it that we want players who are maybe slightly later on in that journey, who probably have missed the boat to be a professional cricketer, but players who are good, solid, reliable, and represent some of the very best of the North Wales Cricket League that just want to play good, hard cricket. We want to be able to capture that as well within the team. And there's still very much a place for players like that play in the national county setup for Wales as well. So hopefully across those kind of 3 objectives, that makes a degree of sense, and you can kind of see where we would like to go with it. So just a couple of stats for you. I'm generally a little bit stats driven, or hopefully headlines rather than stats. But I mentioned that we'd only had 2 players, I think, from 2012 or from 2010 into 2016 represent Wales, which, arguably, as I say, that you could say there should be more than that. In the last 2 years, we have had five lads represent Wales at senior level. Some more than others, to be fair, but nonetheless, that is hopefully trying to show that we have opened a window. We are looking more, and there is a much more sense of alignment and wider looking across the whole of Wales than there probably has been for a long time, and that's only right and proper. So the lads there that have been listed there, obviously we hope to see more added to that list over time. And it was lovely to see 5 lads and a coach involved in the setup come with us to Spain recently for our senior team pre-camp. So in around that, we obviously we kind of emerged it with the senior team. That it was only the one team when we started it in 2022. Very quickly, we realised that whilst the senior side is great, we want to try and create some kind of succession and transition into that senior team. And sometimes it's very difficult to cater for all of those categories of players I mentioned in the previous slide in one side. And actually, we felt reasonably strongly that we would benefit from the emergence of an under-19s team. So that emerged last year, and that will run again into this summer. So we've effectively got 2 teams in this setup now, which we hope is going to really benefit players in the region, both now and for the long term. And generally, from a fixture program point of view, look, we try and keep it reasonably sensible in terms of geography and based on our capabilities financially, I guess. But the idea from our point of view is to be playing as strong an opposition as we possibly can. And when we look at this from a selection point of view into the senior Wales side, we want to be working out how close players in North Wales are to playing national counties cricket. And the best way to do that alongside league form on a Saturday is to try and be playing the effectively second teams of the other minor counties. So that's the Cheshires, the Shropshires, and the Staffordshires, etc. We have played the Northumberlands and the Cumbrias as well. And we're really excited about this year's fixture list in particular, where some of those fixtures have been maintained, but actually we've managed to get a better variety of formats, I think is fair to say. If we want to be picking lads to play 3-day cricket and lads haven't had experience of that, it's really difficult to expect them to make that jump really quickly, and to be able to occupy the crease for long periods of time, for example. So you will notice if you've seen the fixture list this year, there's a number of multi-day games for the under-19s, and we have managed to get a couple of 3-day games in for the senior side as well. So that is trying to give players the opportunities to score hundreds, take 5 wickets, and really evidence to all of us that are involved in the senior Wales setup that that there's match winners in there and people that are capable of making that step up. I'll kind of brush over the rest really. Hopefully that's reasonably self-explanatory, but we do have a winter program for both of those teams. We'd love to expand that, and I'll talk about our future plans maybe in a little while. But I think the bottom 2 are reasonably significant, certainly the way in the lens that I look at it. And people can maybe have their own views. You guys know the landscape certainly a lot better than I will up in North Wales, but there does seem to be a flavour of a significantly improved relationship between certainly ourselves and the North Wales Cricket League. As I say, the national counties kind of operated on its own until a couple of years ago, and that is now very much entrenched in the North setup as well. And we've really tried to make sure that we do our bit and we spread our high quality representative cricket around the country. So for the last 3 years, I think in a row, we've come up to North Wales, and that will remain a permanent fixture in our calendar. And we want people in the region to see what the best level of recreational cricket looks like. It's really easy to probably sit on the sofa. We all probably do it in football or other sports, and we think we can pick the best teams going. And sometimes until we see the level that players are up against, it's really difficult to kind of balance that. So that's part of our job is wanting to show people the level, but also bring those juniors along to watch good quality cricket and hopefully take a little bit of inspiration from that in the same breath. I'm just going to pause there if that's okay, because I appreciate that's just me waffling for about 10 minutes non-stop. So haven't seen anything pop up in the chat as yet. But if anybody, we've got a reasonably low number of people on this call. So if anybody wants to come off mute, if anything hasn't made sense there, or if somebody wants to kind of challenge anything or ask something else on that, then absolutely feel free to. Okay, I've either made sense or I've lost everyone, so I'm gonna prattle on if that's okay. Very briefly, just to give everyone a flavour of kind of, as I say, that was kind of our main committee, so to speak. I don't generally like the word committee because it sounds like you're ruling from an iron tower somewhere. But effectively, the key people that are involved in managing and administering the setup, those are the people. As I say, we're lucky to have some of the team on here tonight. And as I say, I can't take any credit for this. Russ has been the main founder of this and will continue to play a prominent role. Those of you that follow any of the digital channels will notice that we advertised for a head coach in the last month, which is not something we've been in a position to do up until now. And Russ will be delighted that his ability to mitt maybe is reduced going into this summer. A little bit less than it was last season. So we're not quite in a position to confirm who that person is, but you know, that person will certainly be installed for the start of this season, and that will certainly add some continuity. That will certainly add a different, fresh perspective on how we do it, which is going to be really healthy. And we're really chuffed and excited with that appointment. So you can expect to see some news on that fairly soon, in maybe towards the back end of next week. Equally, you know, we're always on the lookout for people in the area who are interested in wanting to get involved, who have got a skill set that they feel like they can offer us. So it might not quite be a call to arms tonight, but if anybody is passionate about developing cricket in North Wales and feels like, you know, whether it's now or whether it's, you know, down the line, and you think, you know what, I'd love to find out more about getting involved, then you know, please do take that away, and we'd love to hear from you in the same breath. I think the main one for me tonight, really, as much as explaining the structure, and I should have mentioned at the start, we are recording this, so you know, we'll make sure we put this up on the Cricket Wales YouTube so that people who you know, can't attend tonight can watch this back and come up to speed with a few things. But I mentioned around the category of player that we're trying to select a lot of the time. You know, we're trying to that balance of young players blended with experience. And I thought I would share a couple of things that we certainly consider at the moment. And there's no secrets about this. People can more than entitled to agree or disagree with it, and we can unpack that if we would like to. That's fine. But it's really important for us to be clear and transparent around where things are and what comes into our minds when we're talking selection. So for us, as I say, I think in the first year, we wanted that senior side to be strong, and we wanted it to be as competitive as we possibly could have. We wanted to win games and show that we're not messing around, quite frankly. And as the emergence of the under-19s came in last year, then that maybe it allows us to separate that youth from experience a little bit. And I think what we want to always do is we don't want to have. We've got to be mindful of the type of player we're going to pick. And what I mean by that is we've got some fantastic cricketers in North Wales. I could name you, obviously you guys could name them more than I would, but take Colwyn Bay as an example, who won the Welsh Cup last year. There will be a number of cricketers in that team, and there'll be a number of cricketers in other clubs as well that you would put maybe in your top category of batters and bowlers in terms of performances. But I think for us, and for Russ and I in particular, this will be for the head coach as well, we're always trying to think about where that journey then next is for that player. So in terms of the national counties age criteria, this is something is generally not common knowledge. The Wales senior team has to, and all national counties, this is NCCA and ECB criteria that you get funded by. You must select a team that is an average age of 26 and under. So that's generally 8 out of your 11 players. You can have 3 players who could be as old as you like, in all fairness. But generally 8 out of your 11 players must be an average age of 26 and under. And we don't generally fall foul of that. You know, we generally select a really young side for Wales. And you only need 1 or 2 under-19s that bring that average age down quite significantly. But it does weigh into our thought process. So if you've got a 34-year-old high-performing batter in the league, doesn't matter whether you're in North Wales or South Wales, to be fair, the value for us of that, if that person's maybe going to have 1 or 2 years, is probably not as valuable compared to a 23, 24-year-old that's probably got 5 or 6 years of potential in them. So it's always trying to weigh up that kind of short-term gain versus longer-term reward, if that makes sense. You know, and say hopefully people would, even if they don't disagree, even if they don't agree with that, they would understand, I suppose, that we're always trying to look a little bit to the future and look for that, you know, that next generation. And I think the last one, in terms, again, this might not be common knowledge. I've got no problem sharing it, and I didn't see anybody from the North Wales League on the call, to be fair. So, as I say, it's pretty transparent. But the North Wales League do support us to an extent financially, and we're really grateful for that. And again, probably wouldn't be able to do the amount within this program that we currently do. So we have to be mindful of that. But also, you know, I think we're all aware that there's a few clubs that don't play in the North Wales League at the moment for whatever reason, and you know that's certainly not for me to get stuck into, or anybody to get stuck into. That'll be for their own reasons. But naturally, you would expect that the North Wales League would want to make the league as good and as strong as it can be. And I suppose for us, we want to see the best cricketers in North Wales playing in North Wales in an ideal world. Of course, we would. You know, I think that's hopefully pretty logical. And we don't want to impede anybody that's not. But in the same breath, we agreed with the North Wales League that we would want to be supportive of that direction of travel. And so what we try and do is we have an understanding where in any 11 that is selected in the North Wales two sides, whether it's 19s or the senior side, only 3 players will play in that 11 that play outside of a North Wales club, of a North Wales League club, if that makes sense. So we appreciate that does make those 3 spots more competitive. That may mean that the 4th player that plays outside of North Wales might find it more challenging to get into a side. And as I say, that's probably one that ourselves and the league will need to reasonably often kind of review and revisit and see what we're comfortable with and where we are. And this is a really fast moving beast, this in all the right ways. So I wouldn't want to commit to whether that's going to change or not in the near future, but that's currently what it is and what it has been for the last 2 years. You know, as I say, there's a slight carrot there in that we would ideally like players to want to play in North Wales and represent clubs in North Wales. But hopefully, as you know, Jason Folks is a good example of that. Somebody that's played in North Wales, gone across to Nantwich in the Cheshire League, and you know is still able to compete and play. You know, under this team. Last slide, I promise. So just look, a brief flavour of where next, and look, there's a lot more than what I'm going to put here. But as I mentioned, you know, obviously we want to embed the new head coach when they come in, and that'll be pretty swift, hopefully. We do want to, you know, look, we never want to stand still with our programme. And we want to make it the very best it can be. So there are just a few examples there. That's not an exhaustive list by any means, but our digital capability has got better from a national county standpoint in the last few years. I think we would love to get some of the North games regularly live streamed and get some of the boys' performances, you know, even more to the forefront of people's radar than they are currently. You know, things like more contact time in the winter, a little bit more player support, whether that's through more technology or a little bit more help with some travel to games, etc., is something we really want to explore and try and get there, and try and get there. So a couple of things there, and as I say, we don't want to be kind of comfortable with players just playing for Wales. We want to be popping a few people you know, higher up into the game. So whistle stop kind of snapshot flavour of where we want to go. Yeah, that has been me talking for 25 minutes. I do apologise. But there's got to be something from someone, surely, that
there will be, Matt. There will be.
Maybe somebody wants to mention or wants to challenge or wants to ask. You know, honestly, this is totally what the point of tonight is, and any challenge is totally welcomed, and you know, we're more than happy to discuss and explain.
And listen, guys, yeah, it is your opportunity, right? Yeah, the whole reason, you know, Matt has beautifully said that, right? That is exactly where our objectives were. That's what we wanted to do. I'm such a strong believer this is the right way forward for North Wales cricket. Yeah, Matt mentioned the David Lloyds and the Romans. We haven't mentioned the likes of Will Evans that played for Cheshire and Adam Campion that could have gone on. Yeah, there's many, many cricketers in North Wales. We cannot afford to lose those players again. That is why we're doing this. Representative cricket brings so many benefits, whether that be this parochial view we sometimes have in North Wales where clubs don't like this club and don't like that club. That was the whole one of my objectives was to try and prevent that. Yeah, was to get more together. We're a little bit divided. You know, we are divided. Naturally, we're divided because we have three very, very big clubs playing in the Liverpool League. We have a club playing in the Shropshire League, but they're still in North Wales and they're still North Wales players. And that's you know, and representative cricket was at the forefront when I was playing, when we had Denbighshire and Flintshire and Carnarvonshire and Meirionyshire. Yeah, and the cricket was good standard then in North Wales. With all due respect, in my opinion, the cricket diminished, the standard diminished once representative cricket went. I think by doing this, I'm really confident by doing this and doing it properly, it will improve. I've seen it already. I've seen players moving clubs to Premier clubs, young players, yeah, to improve their cricket because they're in hunger for it. And I genuinely believe that's what will happen. Yeah. We're in it for the same goal. The people on this call, yeah, you're not on this call. Yeah, you're on this call because you love cricket and you love North Wales cricket and North Wales players. And this can go from strength to strength. But we do need to learn. I've made mistakes. I'm making no bones about that, right? Yeah, when this went off on the 2-3 years ago, yeah, it was hard going, very hard going. Matt has been a massive support with Cricket Wales. I've made lots and lots of mistakes. Yeah, I've learned from them. We need your support and guidance and advice so we can learn in which way we go. And that's why we have to have these calls, and we need people to you want to say now and talk to us and tell us, right? Yeah, I need that. I need to know where I'm, when I'm going wrong, and what we can work on. We need help and support. And that's why we need you guys. And I know I spoke to Dan today, and Dan wants to get into coaching, right? Yeah, well, that's what we need then. That is exactly what we need. We have in this region, yeah, we have very, very good cricketers, young cricketers. We give the opportunity in the next 10 years is so exciting. If they've got something to aim for like this, it is incredibly exciting. It's quite sad that a lot of players have missed, as Matt alluded to. There's players that they're at the age where they've missed it. Sadly, if this had happened 20 years ago, perhaps we'd be in a better position. But we have so many young players. I've been doing the under-19s. Yeah, and it's been tough. And myself and John, it's been very hard. I'm looking at this talent and I'm thinking to myself, wow. And I had a lad that was that age, and I'm looking at those lads. I'm thinking to myself, if we can get coaches working with these, yeah, we can produce first-class cricketers here, 100%. 100%. And that's what we want to do. But we need everyone's buy-in. We need the club's buy-in to help us with this. So please tell us what you want, how you want us to do it, what we can help with.
Anybody got anything that's on their mind they want to kick us off with, or?
Can I just?
Yeah.
Oh yes, go for it. Go on. Who's?
Can I just ask the coach that's appointed?
Sorry, who am I talking to here? Sorry,
Sorry.
Sorry, who am I talking to? Sorry.
Matthew Gilman. Sorry.
I beg your pardon. Sorry, Matt. Yeah, go for it.
Okay. Yeah, the coach that's appointed, will they be responsible for the under-19s as well as the senior team?
Yeah, it's the role as we kind of set it out is gonna encompass both teams. I think, look, I wouldn't say never in terms of how that role evolves over time, but I think we really wanted to have some consistency and continuity between those two sides, so that individual is able to see the level of those 19s, and obviously the transition from the 19s into the senior north side is going to be a really important transition, and making sure that players get the right balance between being able to dominate, hopefully a little bit at the 19s level against the various teams that they play, and then also getting sufficiently challenged and stretched when you play a Leeds Beckett University team that's got 5 second team county players in it, for example. So yeah, I think to start with, that coach is going to be across both. And as I say, you know, let's see where we go to with that, and you know, I probably wouldn't want to predict too far ahead in the future. But yes, to answer that.
Okay, thanks.
No worries. Good man for coming off mute. Thelma, yeah, and Thelma's our scorer. For those of you that don't know Thelma, go for it, Thelma.
Hi, yeah, I love scoring for the guys, you know, both teams. But there's me, and there's a lot of fixtures, and I can't do it all. So you were talking before about getting help and support. We need somebody other than me. We need somebody as well as me, because I can't do all the games. I'm just one, you know, I'm just one person. I can't do it all. So if there's anybody who knows a scorer to help support the lads, then, you know, we need to do that. And I'm really interested as well, the idea about doing some live streaming for the fixtures. That would be great if we can manage to do that.
Yeah, we're probably not at that point yet. Just for everyone's awareness, that comes down again to funding at this point, unfortunately, and that's an aspirational place where we'd like to get to. It probably wasn't a call to arms tonight, but it's absolutely fine for that to be the case. So I've put my email address in there for anybody in the chat box. If you do know of, you know, if for the various clubs that you're kind of associated with and involved with, if you do know anybody that's interested in getting involved, then I've just put my email address in there. So please do drop me a note. And you know, we, as Thelma said, you know, we want to set this up so it's not dependent on any one individual, in whether it's scoring, coaching, or what have you. So yeah, good point, Thelma. Thanks for that. Anybody else, really? I think anything else that's not made sense there, or anything that's we've not touched on at all that you kind of want to mention or pick up on?
Tomo, can I ask a question to you and Russ, potentially?
It wouldn't be the same webinar.
Behave yourself. Yeah, behave yourself, son. Are we okay? Yeah, so two slight things. One thing in terms of the 3 players outside the North Wales clubs, how does that marry up with what happens at Wales? And that's just for interest more than anything.
Sorry.
So in terms of, there are only 3 players allowed to play outside the NWCL. How does that marry up with what happens at Wales national counties? With, you know, do you have a cap in terms of the amount of players that are allowed? You know, so Jason Folks, I think, has played for Wales in the last year as a player who plays outside Wales. Yeah. So what's the limitation on a national level, and how does that, you know, compare?
Yeah, no, good question. So on a, if we're talking Wales senior team, so the senior Wales men's side, then the criteria is, as I said, so it's the average age bit, irrespective of where people live and reside and that type of thing. There, you also must, of the 8 that you play, as well as the average age being 26 and under, you must have 8 homegrown players in your 11 at all times for the Wales senior side. So homegrown generally is one of, testing my knowledge, but generally one of either born in Wales, currently lives in Wales, plays club cricket in Wales, or went to university or secondary education in Wales. That education one is going to change for next year, so you'll only be homegrown during the time you're at university, if that makes sense. So if you came to university in Bangor and then left after your 3 years, if that was the only thing making you homegrown, you obviously wouldn't be homegrown if you were to move again outside of Wales. But you know, generally, if you've come through the pathway in a county, even if you move away and you live somewhere else and what have you, generally that will make you homegrown. So again, for us, it's finding the balance, and it's identifying players that will always have a degree of homegrownness about them, if that's the way I can word it. And I suppose the key difference, you haven't asked it, but I was anticipating a question tonight, people going, oh, well, do we have a cap around players playing outside of Wales in the South Wales League? Because that happens a lot, and we have a lot of players that don't play in Wales, you know, down where I'm tuning in from tonight. And the answer to that is we don't have a cap, but the major difference is that the South Wales League don't fund part of the national counties operation. So it's a little bit of it comes back to that relationship with the North Wales Cricket League, you know, and as I say, they are, you know, as I say, the funding situation of this is that we need to take every bit of funding that we can receive, and the North Wales League, for absolutely the right reasons, want to support this setup and they want to get behind it, and you know, we're very grateful for that. And I suppose it's not an exchange for that, but we as Cricket Wales, and me with a Cricket Wales badge on, you know, we probably can't stand there and say we're happy for players to play outside of Wales when we'd love them to. So it's a little bit of a compromise. I appreciate it's probably imperfect, and if you're a player in one of those clubs that doesn't play in Wales, you'd think, oh yeah, we're being shafted a little bit, and I understand that perspective. But probably sat here with a red dragon on my hoodie, I can't probably say, oh yeah, you know, you can. We don't want to incentivize people to go and play outside. Otherwise, you know, what then happens to the standard of the league up in the north? So I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. You're becoming the Warren Gatland of the cricket world with the 25 cap on, and I'm just pulling your leg there.
I don't know if that's a good thing or not.
And my second question was, and there's a question in the chat as well.
Yeah, no, I'll get to Anthony's in a second. Yeah, go.
And probably the more important one: how does the pathway in terms of Cricket Wales North link in with Wales national counties? So if I look at it from a very selfish personal point of view, I'm coaching the oldest age group. You know, and we've got a game at the same time as the 19s this year, so they'll have some idea of, you know, where they're playing and what have you. But how do I give the best chance for the players that I've got in my group to make themselves known, to go through the process and all of that?
Well, look, I think it could, first and foremost, how do we make it known? More things like this. You know, obviously we've got all of you guys and ladies on here tonight. You know, we potentially can do a session like this for players exiting the pathway at kind of that under 15 level. But look, there is a gap between when the junior part of the pathway finishes at, certainly from the Cricket Wales standpoint, finishes at 15. The Wales age groups obviously run up until under 18. I probably don't intend to get into it loads tonight. It's a personal view of mine, you know, and resource does come into it again from a Cricket Wales angle to an extent. But there's an intention for finishing the junior pathway at 15 and not going longer. Rightly or wrongly, I'm a reasonably firm believer that once you get to probably 16, your learning and your breeding ground should be playing proper hard senior adult men's cricket. That's where real learning happens. I'm not saying that learning doesn't happen in peer representative cricket, because it does. But given what we know about players in the modern age and people being available, maybe not as often as you know we'd all love them to be, I wouldn't want at 16 and 17 players to be playing other 16 and 17-year-olds when they could be playing against proper senior club cricketers who are going to give them a really strong grounding and accelerated development path, if that makes sense. So again, that's not to say that that's rigid and will be set in stone forever. You know, look, I think, as I said, we'll always look for ways to expand this, and if we think at any moment in time that we need to address that gap, then of course we'll be open-minded to do that. But I think for players wanting to really kick on in their game, you would expect to see players dominating and starting to establish, not necessarily dominating, but establishing themselves in their senior men's first team sides between the ages of 15 and 18. You would be wanting to see players playing for Wales under 18s. And then there's the natural progression then as you emerge out of Wales under 18s, you're becoming an established member in the North under 19s, and hopefully the senior side. And there's your pathway into the senior Wales team and hopefully higher. So again, yeah, hopefully that answers that to a point. Does it? Yeah. Wonderful. Anthony asked a good question. What if you play for a North Wales club, but in the Liverpool League, are you Welsh or not? Anthony, do you want to just come off mute and explain that one for me? Sorry, are we talking homegrown criteria or selection for the North Wales team? Anthony knows how to come off mute. Homegrown criteria. Sorry, I've seen it in the chat box. Let me try and understand that question for you, Anthony. If you play for a North Wales club, but in the Liverpool League, are you Welsh or not?
I think it means are you able to play for the Wales National County North
for the
and
Wales National County senior team? If you are playing for a club not in Wales, that's a really tough question.
So
because the NCCA will see that, Anthony. Maybe that's one I need to go away and clarify with the NCCA. We probably haven't needed to come across that one before, to be honest. Because you can have a North Wales club that plays in the Liverpool League but could play in the Welsh Cup. So arguably, there's a little bit of both. I would imagine the NCCA are not going to challenge that and say that someone's not homegrown. I think for the purposes of selection for this team, or the under-19s, or the senior North team, as we've mentioned, I would see somebody playing in the Liverpool League as not one of the three that, not one of the 8, sorry, that we would class as homegrown. Hopefully that answers that. Sorry, I probably confused that question for you.
So, like, I'm guessing like Jack Parry or Adam Campion have played for Wales North, and they both play for Colwyn Bay, who play in the Liverpool comp. So
yeah, so so a Jack Parry and a Adam Campion, if they're playing for Colwyn Bay, they would class as, if we are saying we're only going to play 3 players in the North team that play outside of Wales, those 2, anybody that plays for Colwyn Bay would class as one of those 3 players that we put a cap on.
Yeah.
For NCCA representation, as in for the actual Wales senior side, as I say, that's one we've probably not come across, and we probably can get some clarity on that. But I suspect, because there's an element of the club being affiliated through the Welsh Cup and Cricket Wales to an extent, I can't imagine that's going to get frowned on as not homegrown. Does that make sense? Never easy, is it?
Yeah, that goes for North of Paul as well, right? Because I see Dave.
It would go.
Yeah,
Same as whichever of those clubs apply. Yeah.
And Chirk.
Yeah. Good flag though. I might just for belts and braces. I might just get that in writing for the NCCA. It's a good challenge, Anthony. Thank you for that. Some really good ones there. Anything else anybody wants to? Conscious, I don't want to keep everybody all night. But if there's anything else,
Mr. Parry, come on, talk to me. Got to be questions. It's got to be questions. I think there's another one in the chat box, Matt.
Oh, is there? Sorry,
Off Gareth again.
I can't see another one in the chat box at the moment.
Sorry. The thing I didn't articulate was around potentially also looking at training times for Cricket Wales North and Wales National County North to allow people to coach on both.
What's that? Sorry, Russ. I can't.
This Gareth asking about looking at training times for Cricket Wales North and Wales National County North to allow people to coach on both.
Yeah, well, programming. Anybody that is involved in programming and trying to find the right facilities or the fit for purpose facilities, of which there are a very finite few, and then also trying to find those facilities in reasonably optimal timings that suit players and coaches and that type of thing is very difficult. Yeah, I think, and I'd say this think in inverted commas without assuming that we get it right all the time. I think we do the very best job we can. But naturally, yeah, look, if there's opportunities where we can be a little bit smarter over making sure that we get more coaches having more eyes across more aspects of programs, then of course we would want that. So we haven't started piecing together our winter program yet for this time next year, but it won't be a million miles away before we start doing that. So we'll always consider stuff like that. If there's nothing else, and I say I don't want to put anyone on the spot really unnecessarily, so I'll probably make my last point now, and give anybody the chance to pluck up the courage to come off mute if you want to. I think the last thing I'd probably want to leave a message on, certainly from my angle and from a Cricket Wales angle and Russ's as well, is, yeah, Russ alluded to it earlier. Look, we want it to be a pretty open door. Figuratively, we appreciate we'll see things a certain way, and yeah, of course, ourselves and the committee will probably drive the direction of travel. That said, you know, we want people across North Wales to feel like this is theirs, and that you feel like you can influence into it, you can chuck something in the mix that you want to, and hopefully tonight is a very small example of that. But you know, we're all pretty clued up on the right reasons for being involved. So if anybody at any point wants to, you know, I'll probably be careful of saying my phone is always on the hook, because it generally is, but probably not at 11 o'clock at night when someone wants to challenge why someone's not played. That's probably not quite what I mean. But you know, beyond that, we're really open to hearing feedback, constructively or positive, and ultimately we can only do things better if we get some of the things, you know, that we hear from the floor. So you know, do take that message back to your clubs and people associated with your clubs, players, supporters, members, whatever it might be. And you know, I'd really encourage you to kind of spread that message that, you know, there's no ivory tower, there's no conspiracy theory. You know, we all want to give North Wales players the very best platform to put themselves in the mix for higher honours. That, you know, that is something we're really passionate about. So you know, anything you can do to spread that message, I'd really thank you in advance for that. And yeah, final call to action. Look, I don't want to beg for sponsorship and funding. If anybody knows anybody, we're always on the lookout for additional investment that we can put back into the players. Any funding we get doesn't sit in an account and get not used. I can safely say that with my eyes on budgets. It's usually how much little can we overspend rather than squirrel it away. So if anybody knows anybody, or if somebody's got you know, a contact that they think would be interested in getting involved, then again, please contact myself, and we'd love to hear from people who are keen on helping us drive this forward. I think that's pretty much all we wanted to hit on tonight. I think so. 47 minutes of hopefully not falling asleep. I really thank everyone for jumping on and giving up your time.
Yeah, it's good of you.
Yeah.
Feel free to call us.